So greetings, welcome to the channel. So this is a bit of a update video as I tidy up my little desk. I've been doing some crafting videos and also having a go at making some clothes pegs, because I keep getting fed up of plastic pegs either breaking because they're cheap, and I thought we'd have a sit down and a chat, talk about a few things we've got to talk about, and just say sorry that I've not been around on the channel a lot during August and some of September, because I just needed a bit of time off. I do now and again with YouTube because it can be very wearing on your brain and very taxing, and I just got to the point where I just needed a bit of time off from making content. I do have some videos to record. I've got a unboxing video for that item and this item, so I'll be careful not to show my address on, so I've got to film them. And I've also made a few up close videos. I made one on this sea axe, and I made an up close video pointing down at my table on this Anglo-Saxon cross and these 5 coins and 3 pendants, which I will in the future film some more of these videos in the next coming few weeks, because I've got so many Anglo-Saxon and Viking items. I think it'd be quite valuable to do some up close videos, because I also want to get into the crafting videos gradually. I want to try to get my brain with the ability to start thinking about crafting, and I've still got to complete the Viking wooden club series. And I just noticed a massive spider on my wall, which I've still got to finish that off. So I've not forgotten. I just that life has got in the way, and because I've got various other things going on in the background, I'm just trying to get them sorted and also sort myself out, because I'm not sleeping very good at the moment. I seem to have no ability to regulate my sleep pattern. For instance, yesterday, the day before, I got up at midnight because I went to bed about 5 o'clock after being awake for about 16 hours, 17 hours. So I just can't regulate my sleep at the moment, no matter what I try. And I'm even got to the point where I'm going to the doctor about it, which is very unusual for myself, because I don't often go to the doctor. I'm not that sort of a person, but some days you can't just, as my friend Stuart was saying, well, you know, Andy, you can't just bury your head in the sand. Some days you got to go to your doctor just to get that little bit of hope, and even if it's just some advice, somebody to talk to about it who's more professional. And I do kind of fundamentally agree with him. So yes, but it's nice to see the channel growing, and even when I don't publish videos, we seem to gain subscribers, and we managed to do, you know, 2,500 to 5,000 views a day on average, which I think is fantastic. But we do have an awful lot of videos on the channel, and I know in the last 6 months, 38% of our views have come from that period in time. So yeah, so I'm just doing some crafting at the moment. I got a massive bag of willow. I did go out to look for some hazel the other day. Oh, that will make a good tent peg. And I did late, or not late at night, but in the early evening, went out with a friend of mine. So I said I'll make her some clothes pegs, and I was hoping to do it with her on camera, but we're not quite got round to it. And I've never made any tent pegs, not tent pegs, I've never made any clothes pegs before. And I don't know what I've done with the ones I've made already. Oh yes, I know what I've done. I've used them on my clothesline already. And it's a bit of a hit and miss project, this. But of course, whenever you're using a craft knife, do try to be careful and don't cut yourself. So I'm just putting a bit of a chamfer around this edge of a knife, of a stick, just to make it look nice. And then we'll get on to the next one. So yes, it's been a fascinating year so far. It's nice to see that the weather's beginning to change and things are getting a little bit colder at night. I've not got to the point where I've started to light the wood stove in my lounge, but I have had a very busy year when it comes to preparing logs and sorting out wood for my fire, and I'm probably getting into 2027, 2028 in the sense of the wood I'm preparing now will be burnt in those years, because I do have a lot of logs in store. But I got to the point where I'm running out of space to store all my logs. So I'm currently, with the help of my neighbour Mick, we're making a wood store outside in my garden from pallets. If I thought about it, perhaps I could have made that into a video. Perhaps I'll film what we've done so far and then finish the final results and talk about log storage outside, because what you generally want, you want your logs to not get wet, but you certainly want the wind to go through your logs, because that'll help them keep them dry. So I've got to think about some roofing, which I'm going to use tarpaulin. I found a few of them in a skip a few months back, and I was already in my mind planning this whole log storage kind of a unit, and then I'm going to make another one out of pallets around the side of my house, rather than just stacking logs on top of themselves. I'm trying to plan to have a better organised structure around the side of my house for my log storage for the future. And this video's got no set plan what I'm going to talk about. I'm just going to talk about what's on the top of my head at the time, and I hope you did enjoy the video where I talk about whether we need a digital ID in the UK. I'm definitely not into that idea. I don't think it's necessary. If we go down the route of having a digital ID, we'll get digital currency and digital money. Then cash will go. There'll be more control by the government. They'll be watching everything you do. And if you're a bit like me, I don't like being controlled by governments. Yes, you know, I'm going to stick to the laws and abide by things, but I don't want a big brother looking down at me and saying how you should behave and what you should say. And it's pretty frightening when you see in the world ranking that we're #1 when it comes to people being arrested for, you know, putting something on Facebook. And fair enough, perhaps we should all take responsibility to what we post on Facebook or on X and so forth. But at the same time, we should also have the freedom to be able to express ourselves, as long as we're not expressing ourselves in a bad sense. And, you know, some people have gone on and said the wrong thing, a bit like, you know, Lucy Connolly. I definitely disagreed with what she posted about, but she took responsibility straight afterwards. Within 3 hours, deleted that post, but still ended up having a 31-month sentence, which to me seems a little, well, not a little bit harsh, very harsh. But again, you know, we're not here to be political. I have thought about perhaps once a day making, or a few times a week, talking about various things in the news, but also doing it from a Viking perspective and not fundamentally trying to do it because of the sake of it being political. But at the same time, I want to grow the channel and take the channel to new places. So that's something I'm thinking about. I've still got lots of AI videos in hand, but because I'm finding it difficult at the moment to edit videos because my PC's playing up, I'm having to rely on my outdated mobile phone. And at some point I'll probably upgrade when I can afford it, but I just can't afford to upgrade my mobile phone to you know, a much more recent one like a S24 or even an S25. And then I'm also thinking that, well, perhaps I should go down the route and go for the you know, the Google Galaxy 10 phone, because it's fundamentally better for YouTube. But what are your thoughts? What phone would you get? I'm not really into iPhones, never had an iPhone. They seem to be over expensive for what they are. So I've always gone for Samsung myself. But I do feel like a change. So again, I'm putting a chamfer on the top of this. Eventually these will be turned into clothes pegs. And you simply, let's just have a go at making one for you. We'll demonstrate it. So I've got two options of twine. I could use some really good Irish linen. Now I'm saving that for my sewing once it gets waxed up. So I'm going to use, in this case, string. And I found this string when I was dumpster diving a few weeks back, and I thought to myself, well, this is a good string, we'll keep this. I think it's just typical garden string when I eventually find the end. I mean, it could be here forever trying to find it, to be fair. But I think it's about here somewhere. Come on. Ah, yes. We'll use this C-axe. There we go. So, if you're making a clothes peg, you need either hazel or willow. And these are probably a little bit thin in diameter, but they may work out, we'll see. And then somewhere I've got a wooden club, but I'm going to have to use something else. So we're going to get a length of cord. Let's just go for about that length. I've just sharpened this knife. And then we're going to, and I'm not certain what the name of this knot is, but I'm going to create a loop in my hand. And we're going to put it on this bit of wood. So let's just start again. Then I'm going to make sure the dangly bit is facing downwards. And then I'm going to start wrapping this twine around tightly. Of course, they used to call these, and they probably do call these, gypsy pegs. In the old days, you'd have gypsies or travelling folk. They'll come to you, knock on your door and try to sell you some pegs. We don't fundamentally get that anymore in society, which is a bit of a shame. Because I did watch some documentaries. There's this guy, he's a survivalist. I can't remember his name, but he spent 3 months living as a traveller, and I must say it was quite highlighting the life. And I do think when it comes to travellers and gypsies, I do think they should have the ability to have somewhere to live temporary and move on. Anyway, so you basically you put this end through the loop and then you put it down, and then that will fundamentally create a bit of twine around the end of this branch. And then you cut the end off, and you cut this end off flush. I did used to know the name of this knot, but I've forgotten. So I'm now going to have to split it now. So I'm going to use this C-axe. And let's just get this file. We'll use this as a club. And then I'm going to put it down here to create a split. And then you've got to get your knife in and start carving away. So you've got a bit of a profile which will give you the room to get it on your washing line. And I've not quite perfected this bit yet. But it makes you think in history how old clothes pegs are. To say in the old days we used to hang our clothes over hedges and branches on trees. But I can imagine having pegs like this myself. We're just going to put a bit of a chamfer around the top, which I've not done. If you're not used to using a knife, do be careful. Again, we're going to go back to inside. It's this bit I'm not quite gotten used to yet. I know I've seen a couple of videos where they put a bit of a wedge in just to split it a little bit, and then you can get more of a cut. You're just trying to create a bit of relief. And then some of them also put a little bit of a chamfer or a taper on this side and also on this side. So I think we'll just go for a bit more. And then that's fundamentally your clothes peg. And the idea of the cordage is so that when you tie it around and split it, it's not going to split any further than this bit of cordage around. And then that's fundamentally your clothes peg. And then you could peg it on your line. If that was a line, you could peg it on. It will keep your clothes there. I'd imagine these will last longer than your plastic pegs, because I find plastic pegs these days, unless you're spending some good amount of money on your plastic pegs, they will fundamentally break, and especially if you leave them outside, get brittle. But we'll try another one with one of these thinner branches and see whether it works. So let's just grab my bit of string. And what you could do, you could actually wax the string up beforehand if you wanted to, or some of the pegs I've made, because I use wool twine instead of linen twine, I put wax over it just to cause a bit of a seal. So again, being careful with your knife. Just going to cut this bit of a rope. We don't need them. Again, we're going to create a loop. So there's your loop. We'll have a go at this one here. So I'm going to grab the loop. I'm going to put the loop here and hold it with my thumb, and then start just to wind around here. Just got to tie it up slightly on the, there we go. Because I'm still perfecting this within my own mind of how to do it as well, to be fair. Then you get the bit of the loop. Now, I have made a video demonstrating this, but I've got to make a more professional video. So once you got your little thing for the loop, you get the dangly length down here. And then in theory, you should be able to put it down and it self-tightens. And what you want that bit of the loop to go under this bit so it's nicely fastened in. And then again, you cut off the excess, being careful. Shove that in the box what's going on my fire. So you got your bit of cord round. Like I said, you could get a candle and put some wax over it. That will just cause a bit of a seal, but I think that's really optional. Or you can get your bit of thread and just run it through the hot wax as well. Or run it over a candle. I tend to prefer to use beeswax for the proper beeswax rather than candles. The candles don't last as long for waxing your thread up. But or you could just go and buy some waxed thread, which is a thing. So anyway, so we'll move on from that. So we're going to again grab the C-axe. Now I don't know whether this is going to work, whether it'll be too thin, we'll find out. Make sure it's centralised. And we're going to go down. So because this is a bit thin, it's not done it brilliantly. It's slightly off centre on this side, but it will fundamentally work. Again, when you're using a knife, don't cut towards you, cut away. I know it's common sense, but some people don't have common sense. And there's your clothes peg. And that will fundamentally work as a clothes peg. And that will last for some years, I think. So we made 2. That's progress. And I've got a whole bag here of material I've got to go through. So I've always wanted to do a bit of crafting on the channel, but I never quite got round to it. So this is a new thing and a new feature which I'm quite getting into, seeing what I can make. And it's also, by having a go, it's also boosting my confidence when it comes to making things. But I've not quite got there in the house yet, because I'm trying to make a workshop in the garage. But because I've got so many other projects on the go, I can easily get distracted. But that's just the way it goes. Now you could leave the bark on, but I think in these sort of things you want to take the bark off really. You'll just promote longer lasting pegs. And then I'm thinking about getting some of these and making some room staves and some room sticks and talk about them on camera. Now I can definitely tell I sharpened this the other day because this bark is coming off so easily, and then you can leave it for a few days and it goes, and the bark you left on goes brown, so then you can see, well, I need to take a bit off here and a bit off there, and you can also scrape as well. So I'm scraping in this sense, which will just take off the excess material. So yes, so hopefully lots of good things to come on the channel. I've got lots of videos to edit. I've got to get outside and start trying to film some more. But when I'm tired and I'm not sleeping very well, I have very little motivation. And, you know, it's just something I'm going through. But I'm getting there. That's the main thing, isn't it? I keep battling on like a good Viking. And eventually we'll get there. And, you know, we'll get to 20,000 subs and then 50,000 subs and 100,000 subs. And who knows where this channel is going to end up in 5 to 10 years' time. So, yes, so do like the video. Do subscribe if you're new. If you don't know what we're mainly about Viking medieval history and storytelling. And whether that's me or Dave the Viking cat character, I got quite a lot of stories to edit from Dave. Or sometimes you may see Iric on the channel, but again he's been a very busy Viking in his modern life, and hopefully in the future he'll get to film a few videos for us. And eventually I'm going to start planning to travel and film at locations as well, so that's in my mind. I'm thinking about it, but I've just not quite got there in my life. So yes, goodbye. Got to take the bits off me now. I've got to take the bits off my jumper.